Hello ladies and gentlemen, Tim Kreitz here. Thanks for tuning in for another vid. Today I'm going to take you to a semi-secret Indy car test track right out here in West Texas. Stick around. The test track where we're going today is owned by a man named Jim Hall. Now you may recognize that name. He's world famous and a legend in various types of auto racing, IndyCar, the kart series, and Can-Am racing. If you've ever heard of the Chaparral cars, he's the engineer who invented them. He's a brilliant, brilliant man. I believe he's largely retired these days, but his legacy lives on. In fact, if you've seen the Pennzoil car and the Chaparral cars from my trips to the Petroleum Museum, those are his cars. And that whole wing of that museum is dedicated to him and to those cars. Now, as part of the conditions for putting those cars on display, the museum is obligated to keep the cars in full working order in their racing trim. And they have to have a place to go and run them every so often, and they use this test track. Now, the test track was used over the decades for a lot of other things, namely when Johnny Rutherford was driving for the Jim Hall racing team. It was Hall Racing for a while, it was Hall VDS, it had several iterations. Johnny Rutherford was a champion driver with them. John Andretti drove for them in the 90s. In fact, I had an occasion to meet John Andretti and work with him, as well as Mr. Hall, when I was a very young recording engineer working my first studio job. We did a bunch of audio production for Pennzoil and got to meet those guys and work with those guys in the process. It was a great experience, especially for a very young man in his early 20s. The track is not known to many people. In fact, they've done a really good job, rather, of keeping it secret, I guess you would say, through a variety of techniques. But I found a way to look at it even though I can't get in. And as soon as these 12 trucks get past me, we'll get out onto this highway, because it's just on the far side of this highway right down the road. And through the miracle of aerial photography and some other little cinematic techniques, we will be able to see at least part of it. This is the race facility, and as you can see, there's somebody here. I'm not about to go in that gate though. In fact, it looks like that guy may be closing it. But this is the place where all the Chaparral cars were headquartered. In fact, as far as I know, it's where a lot of them were designed, and it's certainly where they were tested. Alright, let's see if I can get us over somewhere where we can look at the track. This little turn-in should do just fine. In fact, we might be able to get back behind that fence. So one of the first things that you will notice here is this berm right across the road. The berm is man-made. In fact, anyone from West Texas can tell you that immediately. And there's a couple of reasons for this that I can think of off the top of my head. One is that the track is just about 200 feet on the other side of that berm, and they obviously don't want people seeing race cars go around there because it would attract attention, and attention can be a distraction, especially when you're testing high-tech equipment and race cars and stuff like that. The other thing is, obviously, if you ever had a car leave the track, you would not want it to end up in the middle of this highway. So the berm, I would imagine, serves a lot of different purposes. This is a really industrial area. This is all about oil and gas production out here. That's what it is about. And so to have a track like this in the middle of it is kind of a unique thing. In fact, to have anything except oil production going on out here is a unique thing. an addendum to this story, and that is that I grew up just less than 2 miles from Rattlesnake Racetrack, which is what it's called. Have I gone this whole episode and not told you what it was called? It's called Rattlesnake Racetrack. When I was a little bitty kid, I used to sit out on my front porch and listen to them testing those Indy cars and those chaparral cars, and just dreamed of what was going on over there. Kind of, I guess, one of the reasons why I still have a fascination with it. In fact, I'm rolling up on my dad's house right now, and if he's home, I'm going to see if he wants to hang out. Another interesting addendum is that right across the street from my dad, in this place right here with all the trees and the horse pens and the big palatial house, that's where Matthew McConaughey's brother lives. My dad and Matthew McConaughey's brother are neighbors, and Matthew calls my dad's name is Kenneth, he calls him Kenny. How you doing, Kenny? Why don't you let me pay for these sodas, Kenny? I think I'll make a little bit more money than you do, Kenny. Okay, Matthew. Whatever, dude. You can buy the sodas. My dad is not home. I can open the gate and go in and dick around, but I'm not going to do that. Dad, you need to mow your lawn. Just letting you know. Even though you don't do the internet or computers, so how would you ever know that I even filmed your house? Alright, kids, that's going to do it for this episode. Thanks for riding along. Kind of a weird one, kind of an unusual one, but it's an interesting story. Lots of notable people are from West Texas, and I don't think that gets mentioned enough. Maybe someday, with any luck, before I get too old, I'll be one of those notable people from West Texas. If not, that's fine. I've lived the life of 100 men already. You guys take care of yourselves. See you next time. Bye.